This is the E-Z Pollen, part of the Nicholas Lodge collection. The E-Z Pollen comes in 3 colors. It comes in yellow, it comes in black, and it comes in brown. So these are each individually sold separately. Now this pollen is used to give natural technique and texture to obviously many sugar flowers. In buying the pollen in the packaging, it actually has on the back of the packaging, it actually goes through a list showing you all the flowers I do with yellow, all the flowers I do with brown, all the flowers I do in black. And this relates to a lot of my classes I teach on Craftsy and also my regular flowers I teach. But there are many other flowers that obviously you can use the pollen on as well. Now when you apply the pollen to a product, generally you just work on a piece of wax paper, some parchment paper. It's just going to work on a surface. And I have here some Confectioners Glaze. So the Confectioners Glaze I'm going to use to attach the pollen. So first of all, we're going to just start off with the yellow. So for example, yellow could be used for things like when we're doing cherry blossoms. We use this for daffodils, we use it for hibiscus, flowers like that. Here I have some Confectioners Glaze. So this is the Confectioners Glaze, and if you go to click on that product, you'll see the video segment of how to use the glaze and how we store it and things. We're just going to brush a little bit of Confectioners Glaze just onto the tips of the stamens. So this is how we normally apply the glaze to this. And then you generally just going to just dip this into, just leave it in the little container and just going to go through with your, as I said, and this is going to give you the pollen onto there. And you can just use your fingers or a toothpick if you get a little bit too much bulk of pollen onto there. You can, as I said, just get rid of the excess or let it dry a little bit and then just separate that with a pin. So that's how we use, for example, the yellow pollen. So here, for example, you can see that there's a hibiscus here. And so here on the hibiscus, you can see obviously the pollen on the tips of the hibiscus stamens and then also the small stamens here on the hibiscus. But it just gives this very natural sort of fuzzy look to the stamens. So we use this for many different flower applications. The yellow, this also shows, for example, yellow here on a flower center. So this is from Harrison's Yellow Rose. This is made with thread. So this is from my Romantic Garden Rose class on Craftsy. So here I've used the yellow pollen onto the center of the wild rose. Here we have a yellow jasmine. So this is, as I said, a garden variety jasmine, but here I've got the pollen on top of the little violet-shaped stamens. So again, to give you this fuzzy look. So you get an idea about sort of how it adds natural texture to the flower centers. When we're using the brown can be used for lots of different flowers. Again, varieties of cherry blossoms. You can use this on white ginger. We can use it for lily stamens. So again, the brown will be put on the same way. So just to show you the little bit of brown here, just get an idea of the sort of the colors here. So again, just a little bit of the glaze. And you don't want to use a lot of the glaze because on the thread it will soak this up. And then again, you're just going to take then the brown pollen and just going to put some brown pollen onto the tips here. And again, if you get a little bit of too much glaze on there, you can actually just go through with your, even like a piece of wire or a pin, and that will actually just remove the little sort of any clumping that you get. That just means you've got a little bit too much glaze on the thread, but you see how it's going to give you this very nice natural, so you can see the brown on the stamens here. And then lastly, the black, we would use the black on things like, for example, poppies. I use it on anemones. I also use it, these are black commercial stamens, so we carry lily stamens, but you can actually make them look more realistic as if you actually brush the glaze over the top of the stamen. And so this will then you're going to go into the black pollen here. So it's going to just dip this into the black pollen. And you see how it's going to give you this beautiful sort of like fuzzy texture onto the pollen, onto the stamen. Now, most of the time I just use it straight from the container like I've been showing you, but if you were doing a larger surface area, you could of course pour a little of this into a small dish or onto a piece of paper and then pour it back into the container. So this is the E-Z Pollen. Remember, these are available individually